Hello, my dear ones. Always is a pleasure to come speak with you and enjoy your company. Of course, social media is interesting, but it does bring out the shortcomings and some of the problems that man/woman is dealing with, and this is one of them. We got some sexist comments because I put on the chart man's food. You know, I come from, my age is different than some of your ages. And so some of us come out of a period of time where humans, you could change the name if you want, humans is a reference to both male and female principles. So I find it interesting. There's some people out there, especially females, that are upset when the word man's is used, meaning female or male, meaning humans. You know, it's interesting to me that someone would call me a sexist over that. This one comment, of course, they have fake emails and everything else, but this one lady says, "Hi there, Robert. For years your sexist language has concerned us." Oh, really? Maybe you throw up there, dear one. You know, people like this feel insecure in themselves, and spiritually we all must become whole again, because in reality I teach consciousness, and I teach that duality is where the embodiments are. In other words, male and female is simply a part of creation and not a part of who you really are. So for these females they're taking exception for such a simple thing, they lack some degree of spiritual awareness of who they really are, because you're not male or female. That's the real issue here, is that we're only a consciousness having human experiences. And if you get upset because someone uses the word human and you're a female, I don't know what to say about that. I have taught for years that the female principle has been suppressed on this planet. And it has been, sadly enough. There was a time when the feminine principle ruled, and now the male principle rules more. And that's why you see so much war. You know, I've always said the feminine principle is about love and consciousness, and also it is also about the social consciousness, because at one level the female principle is the embodiment of love, but that principle is also binding. Remember duality. Duality simply means that life moves between these two forces, positive and negative. However you wish to view that. Sometimes we view experiences we don't like or words we don't like as negative, and really that's a mental connotation on it. You're actually looking at things from your dislikes or likes or your shortcomings. And when you're conscious, you don't have those sort of thinkings, because you're not either male or female. Thank you very much. That's a higher way of looking at it, and understanding that the best way, I suppose, in a cliche kind of way, is that you're a beautiful, bright soul using your bodies to experience creation in. Well, you're male one time, female the next time. All of you play back and forth between the two sexes. And there's all in-betweens. There's all levels of that. Who cares? I mean, our sexuality is what God is exploring. Remember, in creation, everything is in the body of God, not outside the body of God. So we're all within that body of God. We're all just God expressing itself. You know, if you look past the form, whether it's male or female, or whatever form you're talking about, humans make up a fractional second, if you're looking at it that way, of all the forms in creation. The human form is just a little bitty form on this planet, just a little bitty species that really doesn't. You have to understand who you guys really are. And so for this one lady to make these sexist comments that I've been talking sexist, she's just doing that to stir up the pile, because as you all know, I'm definitely for the female principle. I felt strongly that we're way too acidic. And the male principle, of course, is the acid principle. And the acid principle is more the aggressive side of life. There's definitely male females. I wonder what their take is on that. Because you have to classify yourself. There's female females, there's female males, there's males. I'm a male female. I was raised more by the female side of my family, so I have more feminine principles than I do male principles. I get along better with females than I do males. But I feel myself neutral. I don't look to one side or another. When I'm writing things up, I don't have sexist ideas and things like that in my mind. That's kind of ridiculous thinking, you know. Man's is simply male and female, the human condition. But we're so touchy, and I suggest those ladies that are touchy out there, get with yourself and become a woman warrior. You know, I've always been for the woman warrior. And there's been a lot of seminars put on for the feminine principle to become stronger and stuff like this. But the female principle isn't an aggressive principle. It's a principle of love and camaraderie. And in creation, it binds creation. You have to be careful with that, because it binds you. But it's also how you look into the heart of God, you know, looking through the heart of a woman. I've always said when a woman goes cold, that's serious. You know, when you look at a female oncologist, it's just, ooh, it's cold. Any female medical doctor to give any babies or anything chemicals, or particularly chemo, these people are sick and have lost touch with that feminine principle, which is the principle of love and compassion and joy. Males are aggressive. Their job is to go out and get things done, conquer, go. The male principle within the female. Remember, just because you're in a feminine body doesn't mean you don't have male principles. You got them wherever they are. You know, some are obvious. You see a lot of male females, and then some of the females are less male, but still have male principles. So, you know, people get torn up with ridiculous things, you know. Here's some of these sexist terms and alternatives. Mankind. You know, that's a little bit much when you get down on mankind. I mean, I think that women have to go out and take their rightful places. And it's hard because the male's suppressing that female principle. In some countries, the female principle is so suppressed, I'm amazed. And with the ISIS community, they even want it even more. So that means poor females in the Middle East, they can't even raise their head up without getting it cut off. I mean, this is the kind of crap that's out there, and I'm sorry. It's not a godly thing. You don't suppress another individual's life, no matter male or female, or your life will be suppressed. This is all karmically driven. So those people that do that will take their rightful place in being the victim. See, so the point here is you have to break this concept of male and female, period. You might be in a female body, but you want to be a God person. You're not, you as consciousness, as awareness, is non-gendered. So you just have to realize that in this lifetime, you might be in a male body, you might be in a female body, you might be gay, you might be lesbian, who cares? It really doesn't matter, because if you look at nature, nature does the same thing as humans do. They interact on all levels, males to males, females to females, or whatever. It's God experiencing itself. We're the ones that put connotations on these things from religious belief systems and things like this. But these are religious belief systems, not actuality and what God does in nature. You know, when you've got a family, and most of you parents that have young children know this, they're the female and male. If you have a male and female, they're going to find some way to examine each other. They're going to find some way to look at each other. Nature. We have developed such a strict, tight. I mean, look at Americans. We wear suits and ties. I've wore a tie a couple of times in my life, and I swore I'll never do it again. So you can go back to some old pictures of me lecturing and stuff, and I'll have a suit, moxica, and no tie. So, you know, calling other people sexist and calling other people names doesn't get anybody anywhere. If you feel deficient in that, then you need to look at yourself, my dear ones, and claim your divinity. But if you claim your feminine principle, you're losing, because you're so much more than a female. You're just using a female body. You're this magnificent being of light and love and power, each and every one of you. If you don't recognize that, then watch these videos and learn how to get beyond that which limits your perception of yourself. Because each and every one of you I see as these giant, brilliant beings that are just using bodies to experience. One time male, one time female, who cares? Who cares? But we do have a male ruling problem. But this shows you the lack of spirituality. It's a lack of spirituality. All of this is. Because as you grow spiritually, you don't have those sort of things. We do have a dominant female principle in our office, by far. And it's not that, females are good at what we need them to be good at. I don't know what to say. I love men and women. But the feminine principle is where that love is. And if we were to hire men, we would be looking at males that have the feminine, more love principles. So when someone puts man's food on a chart, you want me to change it, then give me some ideas. You want to put people food? That doesn't sound good at all. Here's a people food chart. I was raised in a much different era. And so nowadays, little words just upset people right and left. And it's like, are you all that touchy with words? That means you're insecure in your own self. And I suggest you get secure with yourself, because what's coming to this world, if you're not strong, you will be consumed. Remember, biblically, the meek shall inherit the earth. The strong shall inherit the heavens. So just remember that. And become strong. And if you're a female, stand up. Because the female is what this planet needs badly. The female principle of love and how you interact with compassion. We need that badly. But we have a power struggle going on with the male principles, and it's disgusting. And yet you have some of the female principles running. And here's, like the Clintons. Everybody thinks what they want to think, but there's a lot of bad things associated with this female. So there are females that have some bad things associated with them too, as well as males. But I think by far the male is by far the most corrupt side of the species, because it's just, we've dominated the female principle, and that's not what we want. And if you look at life, this is how God is teaching itself and growing. This is all out of all of our hands. This is all God's doing, guys. So it's just how God refines itself and builds itself. But if you'll look, there's a lot more feminine males out there in the world today than your male males. And I've always hoped that that'll infiltrate politics and everything else and give us a sense of a female principle. I can't put my finger on Trump, but I think he's fairly feminine a little bit. I think Cruz is a little bit. Rubio, I don't know. When you look at some of these people running, if you want someone to rule you or someone to be over you, then you want someone balanced and spiritually acclimated. So I don't accept these sexist remarks at me, because I think you're trying to stir up trouble, because everyone knows around here. I probably speak of the female love principle more than any male out there, and trying to promote it. I don't know what to say about that. But we have to look at our spirituality and who we are, and start working from these higher perspectives of either non-gender. When you start getting more conscious and more awake, you lose this gender concept. When I have no gender thought in my whole beingness. I don't see myself as a gender. I'm using a human body, but I don't care what gender it is. I'm on a mission to get this world awake a little more. So I'm going to do that to whatever, because that's my karma and stuff that I'm messing with. So I think we all need to hug each other and love each other, for male or female. Going around calling people names, that's not how you do things. And it does show a lot of people have these inferiority feelings, these females. But I can't blame them because they've been so suppressed by the male principle. Their pay is lower. I get all that. But my teachings is to teach for the female warrior. I know a lot of masters that are feminine and love them. Katadaki is one of them. And she's one powerful female being, that's for sure. And they just love these spiritual beings, especially feminine, because you always see the male principles in religions, right? You see a little female, but Mary couldn't have been no big spiritual being. Absolutely was. So this is the thing, is that man holds his own self down. Man's being male and female. But I'll try, if it irritates some of you that bad, using the concept of man's being humans, then I'll try to change that a little bit. But that's in my nature growing up, and I've written so many things through the years that we all use man's being male and female, being human, not being one way or the other. We can go females, but that limits it to the females. Man's connotation has always been male and female. So the touchy subject for some people, obviously, that you don't want it to be a touchy subject, because that's your failing. Your failing is that you're letting people bother you with words, and that means you have a lack of self-strength and self-knowingness. And I get the fact that the female principle's been suppressed, but there was a time it wasn't, and it'll cycle back through. Who's controlling the strings of creation? You got to look a little beyond the little condition of humans, male and females, playing their games. This is creation. These are the illusions of life, not the reality. The reality is you. The reality is behind those eyes, listening and looking at these videos we're doing, not the body sitting there looking. It's the awareness behind that body that you have. That's the infinite part of all of this. And that being behind those eyes are not gendered. You are not gendered in consciousness. You are not gendered as soul. So this whole thing of finding your soul mates and all that, that's always been a concept that some spiritual teachings use, but in reality you are whole within yourself. You only appear to be gendered when you have embodiments. But again, as consciousness, as awareness, as that individual looking behind your eyes, that's consciousness, that's awareness, obviously. That you can perceive, you can think. So when you use these things of thinking, then what body are we using? When we're observing, we're using pure consciousness. We are raw, bare raw. When we start to enact the mind and thought, that's when we want to categorize or in some way rationalize the experience from previous experiences. Consciousness doesn't have that in it at all. Consciousness is simply that which is. And the only way to arrive at that peace and joy and ecstasy is to be it. And to be it means just quit thinking. Quit thinking, quit desiring. But this has been in all the spiritual writings from Buddha and scriptures. Christianity has it in it if you look. Buddha, Bhagavad Gita is full of it. The Upanishads. I mean, you go on and on and on. The idea is to get yourself free and wake up after you play long enough. And so playing in the fields of dreams down here, and the male and the female principles, that's fun stuff. But it's not fun when you're unconscious. And that's the game people are playing when they get caught up in these concepts. Because it doesn't matter. As you get your sukha, as you become awake and whole, these things don't bother you at all, because they're man's failings. Man's being male and female. Humans. The Homo sapien. We could start calling everybody Homo sapiens. I find the verbalage problem real touchy for some people. It's like, doesn't need to be. So you ladies that feel insecure, that's within yourself. That's not outside here. You're in a world that tries to make you feel insecure, there's no question. But you have to take your rightful place. You have to start realizing that you're no less or more than anyone else. Whether you're male whether you're feminine or whatever sexual preference you like. Doesn't make you any more and doesn't make you any less than anybody else. When you start thinking that way, then your spirituality is going downhill. Because you have to see everyone as part of the Creator, whatever term you wish to use for that. God, whoever. There's a lot of names. Sugmad's a name in the old Sanskrit writings for the highest part of God that we've discovered. So you just, you can, my gig here is spirituality and God awareness. And I'm always going to be talking to you in that manner because that'll help free you guys. And once you get free, the peace, the joy, the love. If you're in a male body, enjoy the male body. If you're in a female body, enjoy the female body. But when you awake and you become non-gendered in consciousness, then it doesn't matter. You can play with whatever you want to play with. Who cares? Playing in the playground is the play. You want to get to who's the player in the playground. And that is who you really are. So who are you? That which is observing my conversation and talking. Who is that deep within yourself that is awake, that is listening, that is hearing? And that is consciousness. That is the God part of you. That is the real you. You only hide from that with bodies. And bodies are always gendered when in duality, although there's species out there. You remember, the human experience is on this planet. This is only a grain of sand on the beach of the physical world. There are so many different species and levels. It's unfathomable. But that's the fun of it and the beauty of it. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm some sexist person, but if you want to call me that, you can, just because you're insecure in yourselves. But that's totally a falsity, and someone wants to start trouble because I just put names on these charts to try to help people to enjoy them and stuff like that. I'm making them for you so you can enjoy them and have fun with them and help others with them. So I'll look at that and see if I can change the mans, since there's so many sensitive females. But you sensitive females, you grab a hold of your world because you're just going to get ran over, and you don't want to be ran over. That's not how you change things. So the females need to come up and become strong and powerful. And the problem is, it's not so much in their nature, because they're the love, passive, principle nature. These aggressive males. And that's what I'm saying. The diet and everything is just feeding the male principle here. And so we have to change that. You can take a male that's very aggressive, put him on a raw food diet, especially with a lot of fruits, berries, and melons, and pretty soon you're going to see a male start to change. But we feed the male principle with the type of diets we recommend. Protein is a male principle, and it incites the male principle. And it's just what you see. I've said this many, many times about having sex and other things, about the consumption of dead animal tissue. The fact that it affects the lower chakras, or the lower energy centers in the human body. Things like this. Well, I like to work up here. I don't like to work down there. You can have fun down there, but you want to work up here in consciousness. We don't judge people in consciousness because we know we're all linked. We're all part of the same. Your friends might be different looking than you, but they come from the same source. Those eyes looking out of your friends' bodies come from the same place you do. So you got to get with that. You have to understand why plants exist on this planet, to bring balance to that consciousness. Everything is here to impact consciousness. And is consciousness impacting itself or expressing itself? And so each level is vital to keep the stability of consciousness, from plants and that level of consciousness to the Homo sapien. But I use mans, and don't get upset with mans. That's just the way I'm raised. Mans is male and female. Mans is human. Homo sapien. And you can start checking off these words and checking off these words. And I've watched this for years, and checking off these words. And pretty soon, everybody's tiptoeing through the tulips. They don't want to say anything that pisses somebody off. Get over it. Because that is weakness. That shows weakness. And that's not what you want to show. You want to show strength and awareness. You don't want to show like the men. The females want to show the spirituality and the God side of life because the males need it desperately. I'm not saying that males are all, not, because there's some beautiful spiritual males as well. But in all the different spiritual teachings that I've studied and looked at, the feminine principle always dominated them. Always dominated them. Ekankar, females dominated. Christianity, females dominate. Females dominate the spiritual world. Now in some countries that might not be, but in most of the world it is. Why? Because that's where you touch that nature of love. And you don't see that in some of the male principles. Now you have so many beautiful males that are invoking their feminine side. So you have a beautiful world coming. But you have to get over this idea that one word like man's is going to disturb your consciousness, male and female. I get it though. So I'll work on that. For those that are awakening up, I was reading a poem by Mahesh. Just beautiful, man. Just beautiful. Maharishi. I forgot your name. I know I had it here, and I gave it to Megan to email you back because beautiful poem. And in reading this gentleman's poem, you know he's got God consciousness. He's got a big piece of it. And you can tell through his writing. So I don't know whether to share it or not, but I gave it to Megan. Beautiful poems, beautiful stuff. And this is the whole idea, is to awake. Whether you're in a female embodiment or a male embodiment. Who cares? Your sukkah isn't the acceptance from men. Who cares? That's the thing. Who cares if someone likes you or does not like you? Who cares? You must like yourself. You must be strong within yourself. If you let other people dictate your feelings and emotions by their likes and desires, holy moly, that's what's going on. So everybody feels beat up by other people's opinions and ideas. We've got to grow out of that spiritually. Because that's trapping you. And even the females and even the males, because I'm sure there's males that feel certain ways. So these things, when you have these kind of feelings, they're traps for you. Because they're dealing in creation. They're dealing in the female and male principles. I'm not controlling the strings of this world. Who is? So if you get upset with all that, talk to the Creator, of which you're a part of, and see what you think. Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks for the comment. It was real beautiful. Love you too, dear one. I love all you guys. There's a couple of them out there that want to always start trouble. But I think it's important to understand that. Get your spirituality down, and your freedom and joy will be immense. And after all, at this point, this site isn't for new souls that are just arriving on planet Earth. That's not what this site's about. Only in, you might want to think about your body's health, the one you're getting. This site is also more for those souls that are ready to get their lives in order here and want a higher level of experience and grow out of these lower levels. That's what I can teach you. A non-gendered awareness, a consciousness. That's what you want to seek. Because even the gender is a trap. You know, identifying yourself as male or female is a trap. And you don't want to be trapped. You use your femininity, use your maleness, who cares? Because that's the game. But at a certain point, it'll be more like cocoon, where the merging of the two will be more light and consciousness as opposed to sexual. And it's just the higher level of being and expressing. And that's where a lot of you guys are moving yourselves. I'm amazed at how many of you have awoke, have understood the mind is the trap, and that you've broken free of thought, and now you're in the eternalness of consciousness, of awareness. It's an immense energetic experience, to say the least. It's so immense that sometimes you have to find yourself seeking things for balance. And that's even using the male and the female principle for balance. I don't know whether I should start. I know I have to get going here in a minute. Whether I should add any of these questions, because there's so many questions here that I don't know. We've got a lot going on here, and a lot of people are working and getting their remedy, and some of you that are suffering, some of you that can't seem to do the diet, stop and think what's important to your experience on this planet. Your need, or your feeling like you have to have your meat and potatoes or your bad food and enjoy your suffering? Or do you want to work out your suffering, get it out, and just change your mind? This is all about just changing the way you perceive life. And you control that. You know, when you're a mind writer, society controls that. Your educational system controls that. Your religious belief systems control how you see and view life. That's what's going on in the female-male principle. Step higher. Step outside of that into pure consciousness. You know, where you're neither one. And none of these things bother you here, and your joy and your experience is so much more, even while you're embodied here, while you have a male or female body. There's plenty of beings that love to merge physically, because it's a fun thing. But you want to be free to enjoy that. If everyone is always sitting there judging others and afraid of a word here or there, then your life is shallow. And you want it to be robust and full. This is just a little rock spinning through space. Look at all the rocks just in the physical world spinning through space with this one. So the places you can travel, the things that you can experience is immense, to say the least. That's where you want to put your attentions, in my opinion. But you want to work yourself out of hell, Bill, if your body's suffering, because if your vehicle is dragging you down as soul, then your experience as soul isn't a fun one either. It's hard to be conscious with a body full of pain. And that's why you have to get out of that. You know, get rid of that male principle protein and put it to the side. Because that's the aggressive side of chemistry. That's the acid side of chemistry. That's the male side of chemistry. And if you want to enjoy the female love side of chemistry, get in your fruits, berries, and melons. They're really good. Hi, Doc. What caused upper lip dark colorization of the upper lip in women? I don't have it anywhere else. Very little sun exposure, not pregnant, etc. I've had it for about 2 years now. It won't go away. It's making me very self-conscious. What can I do about this? You know, sweetheart, I'll tell you the truth. Chemistry can affect melanin and in local areas. You know, acids really make chemistry change. It alters chemistry. The more acidic an area is, you can alter the pigmentation of that area, everything else. Even in the genetic weakness, you could probably go back and find some genetic weaknesses attributed to that area. So for me, whenever you see an area like this in the body where you see a darker coloration or birthmarks and things like this, You really want to look at your pituitaries, of course, and just really start making your body healthy. Detox it. Make sure your glands, particularly the pituitary, the thyroids and parathyroids, the pineal, all your glands are healthy. And now you'll see your pigmentation change. And everything will balance out. That would be the only way I think you could ever achieve anything like that. And we've seen it with birthmarks and other things as well. And it's just getting into these interstitial areas of the body and cleaning them up and getting melanin and everything moving properly. And this is also true with pituitaries, and just making sure all the endos that control these things are healthy. But acidosis, this changes the very nature of all of this, the very look of tissue, the very everything, from the wrinkling, the loss of the connective tissue, the melanin. All these things are impacted heavily by chemistry, no question about it, as you are beginning to see. And so by changing your chemistry ingestion and cleaning out the stagnation of chemistry. But we have genetic weaknesses all over. And you could have some genetic weakness in an area that wouldn't mean that a pituitary or a gland has a problem. It's just that weakness in that area. And remember, genetically speaking, when you have a weakness, the lymph system is compromised in that area. So you will tend to have more lymphatic problems in an area of genetic weakness than you do in your healthier tissues. That's a proven fact. Jensen talked a lot about that. And we see it in the eyes redundantly. So it's that sort of thing. So that's all I can tell you about that, sweetheart. Check your pituitary, clean the head area, get the sinuses and all this cleaned up. Make sure your saliva is alkaline. If it's not, do a little bicarbonate wash after you eat, and maybe every once in a while, but not too much, because I'm not sure that by consuming bicarbonate it wouldn't affect the production of your bicarbonate in the bile duct or in the pancreatic duct. We don't want to do that, because that's how you also maintain some blood alkalinity, is through bicarbonate. Okay, so Rod in Chicago, Master Morse. Thanks, my friend. I love you, man. I'm just a wayshower, my friend. A wayshower in the worlds of God. It's fun. It's fun to assist in all levels. It's a lot of fun, because you have to get your freedom to do it. And then it's just it's a powerful experience. This whole of creation's a powerful experience, of course, but there's nothing like pure consciousness and awareness. Finding even if you just find the beginning stages of this. This is called the Sat Nam region of God. And this is the first area of the heavens. The Shabda Yoga talks about this. It's the only yoga system I'm aware of that gets outside of the mind. At least they talk a lot about that. And a lot of their writings, this is the Singh group particularly, used to be. Kirpal Singh, I think, was a big one involved in that. But that was the Radhaswami people. They do have their spiritual guides have gotten up to the soul plane and a little past, but nothing like the Ekmasters, who have brought these much higher worlds down. I don't see why they even brought them down, because very few souls at this level can get even near that. It'll fry you like a piece of chicken. It's just so powerful. I've had my whole essence shaking with energy and vibration, and scary. Sometimes scary. Hope you are well. I feel well, my man. I do. I have an important question. My son is 17 years of age. He has one problem which we can only see right now. Now, Dad, eyes. Get your son down and take a picture of his eyes, because you know a couple things for sure. Kidneys, adrenals, lymphatics. Every single soul taking on a body right now, these bodies, this is the universal problem we're facing. And you can add colon right there. So you've got GI tract, you've got kidneys, and you've got adrenals. Those are all down in literally everybody, to a certain degree or not. I do so many eye pictures from all around the world here. Very few of you have healthy kidneys. Very few. And this young man's not going to have them too much unless you're looking at two parents with major strong genes. He can't burp. Wow. He barely eats his meals well, never finishes them. He says he feels nauseous after taking a couple of bites. Oh, wow. Then he runs to the bathroom and poops. Let me see. Then he runs off to the washroom just in case he needs to throw up. Oh, throw up. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, so you're right. This is a bit of a problem here. And you don't want your son to get full-fledged gastroparesis. This is paralysis of the stomach. Now remember, the nervous system in these young people are much weaker. You know, those adrenal glands have been down for generations, and so the myelin sheaths are down in so many people that Homo sapiens, you know, I can't help the word humans, guys. It's just what I call humans. So if you have a problem with it, I apologize. Get over it. He waits a short while until the feeling goes away. Sometimes he continues to finish his meals very slowly and returns later, sometimes not. He says that maybe in all his life, 17 years, he's probably burped maybe 20 times. We joke about it so he doesn't get worked up, but we know it bothers him. Get me an eye picture. Let's take a look at this young man's stomach, pancreas, liver, gallbladder. These are the areas you want to start looking at. Gallbladder, pancreatic, and the bowel itself, the things we want to look at. Highly recommend that this young man goes on the fruits, the berries, and the melons for obvious reasons. The simplicity of digestion. And the simplicity of digestion is key in these people. But we need more than just simple digesting foods. We need energy. We need consciousness. We need awareness. Well, here we go. Fruits have plenty of it. So we have an energy that turns on the cells, turns on the nervous system in the stomach and the solar plexus, which is the nerve ganglia for the autonomic. Remember, the autonomic is the worker bee nervous system. You have two nervous systems. Hard drive, central nervous system, worker bee, autonomic, right? Adrenals, cerebellum. So, yeah, this young man, this is a serious problem. This is a very serious problem, and my guess there could be some malabsorption on top of this one. We have researched on the internet for possible solution. Nah, there's no medical solution to this. Are you kidding? Remove the stomach, maybe. A balloon must be placed in the duodenum, and muscle or valve area has to be stretched out. Well, if he's so swollen there that he's going shut, that's interstitial constipation of the lymphatic system, which swells the bowel wall almost closed. So if he's got, that's a problem too. You know, you can stent him, but why stent him? You really want to go after his kidneys and adrenals. How does that relate? Because those two control the gigantic sewer system of the human body. It is that system that brings down the bowels, it brings down the pancreas, it brings down the gallbladder. It's that system that deals with the male principle, the acid principle. It's that side. And so that's why kidneys and adrenals are essential. Even though we're talking about digestion, you're looking at elimination. And that's why. Because to make the pancreatic area healthy, the hepatic level healthy, the bowel healthy, the small intestines, the stomach, we've got to remove and get lymph moving, get the inflammation out of these areas and strengthen those cells involved. All of these things are essential to wellness. There's nothing else essential to that wellness. So this is why we start with regenerative detoxification, because this we have to get the kidneys and the adrenals up and filtering. Then you'll start to see the reduction of inflammation and swelling in the human body. Hard to until that happens. At least you could go through the third kidney, the skin, and get everything sweating. That will reduce inflammation as well, because you sweat out acids. You don't sweat out blood. This poor kid. We have, are doctors stupid or what? Yes, yes, yes. we're all stupid at one level or another. I admit that. There's so much I know I could know. But then I broke myself out of that because that trap kept me studying for years, going through libraries for years. And I realized, oh God, I just trapped myself more as a mind writer. And I've been trying to free myself as consciousness because all the answers are there. All the answers you need, believe this or not, are in consciousness. So the more you work in pure awareness, you want to know something, it just happens to appear there right for you. It's like the universe, I don't want to use that word, but the universe becomes your friend. It says, here, let me help you. Let us all start working with you. Sometimes something tells me I should do something now before it gets worse. I'm 100% on your side. Is this the mother or the father? Oh, this is the father. Yeah, Rod, let me tell you, I'm with you, my friend. And you have to take a look at each one of you and the mom, because somewhere he's got these weaknesses. And I'll say this, and this is to your son too, you got to stay away from protein, son, because you proteins right now could make this thing a whole lot worse. All right? Now, if you go on a simple diet of fruits and berries and melons, just what you're having to do here, you've got to go slow. You want to super chew. You want to take a mouthful of food, particularly fruits, berries, and melons. You want to fix this problem now, son. Chew, digest it in your mouth first, and then swallow it. Wait a little bit. Let your body let it work to start healing. Remember, when you're eating the proper foods, it'll work for you in healing. When you eat the wrong foods, it'll make the problem much worse. Foods impact big time, vibrationally, electrically, and of course chemically. So what your boy has right now in his world and his diet is everything. I would be pulling some eyeballs here, and let's take a look at this young man and fix him up before we get into some much more serious problems. Not good. You know, the GI tract tissue is so advanced in its weaknesses and decay, and the Homo sapien, males and females, there's a serious problem going on here. Remember, when you have a tissue that is the #1 cancerous tissue for generations, that's a problem, and we keep genetically passing it, so it means it's not staying there, it's getting weaker. So this is why we have to stop the type of food consumption and fuel burning that we're doing, and realizing that's the dirty burn. That's the dirty fuel. That's what's bringing our bodies down. It isn't make-believe diseases flying around in Moose Jaw, Alaska. You're controlling hand to mouth. It's just you were educated wrong. And for that you have to suffer. And this is why, it's all karma, so this is why we're here to clean up our karmas, right? We all want to get rid of these karmas that we got sticking in our storage rooms and get all this cleaned out so we're on day-to-day karma. So, a lot of you are going to see a lot of lucid dreams and a lot of things going on in the inner. A lot of activity going on. Relax with that, because that's your spiritual guides and all of us working to burn all of this off so you don't have to burn it all off here. You know, you want to try have your guides and stuff help you to burn this off at higher levels. Be a big help. I don't mean to confuse you guys if you don't know what I'm talking about. All right. I am hoping you can guide me into the right direction, hoping to hear what comes to you. Oh, absolutely. Now, this is real vital, Rod, because this young man, your son, is probably starving a little bit on top of this. And, of course, you have to have lymphatic stagnation to have this type of problem also. Now, whether we're into the pancreatic areas or not. So I'm talking about get on a program of your kidneys, adrenals, your GI tract, get on the kits. But I would add a pancreatic formula on that kit 2-3 times a day. Well, I don't know if we have a liquid pancreatic one. Capsules are better when you're dealing in pancreas and liver. You want to get those herbs in that small bowel so they work. Liquids, they absorb quick, and they do work quicker. But either way, I don't care. But let's get this young man going. What he eats right now is everything to where he's going to go with this. everything. So you want to open, you want to dilate, you have to get rid of the inflammation. Well, inflammation is a product of acidosis. Acidosis is the product of protein eating. And not just proteins, cellular metabolitic waste. Cellular metabolitic means their activity of metabolism or burning chemistry and the byproducts of that activity. Just like a car has exhaust, cells have byproducts. As an animal poops, so does cells. So we just have to realize that. And for you young people, you'll know a lot more than others because a lot of people don't even think about that. No one's ever talked to them about this. So Rod in Chicago, was sad you stopped doing Skype sessions on spirituality. We're looking forward to speaking with you again. Oh, Rod, you know what? I'll do another one. It's just I'm so slammed with projects and things that's going on right now. Holy moly. So I'm thinking by summer. Hang in there on me. I'll try to do more spiritual videos this way. But I only have so much to say about that. I was talking about that in our last class, our iridology class, you know. I only have so much to say nowadays because it's so simple to work with overcoming thought. There's only one process to it. But when you start studying spirituality, there's all kinds of a spirituality that's not true spirituality. It's elevated awareness, no question. But when you're still dealing in traveling and things like this, you're not awakening yet. The whole point is to awaken. Traveling around in the God world's fun stuff. Always should do that. But awaken too. You can still be asleep and travel. Rod, I'll try to get this video up tomorrow. And we'll try to get this in here for you for your young man. But if you have to, get us a picture, Rod. And let's see if we can't save your young man here some serious problems, because gastroparesis, which is paralysis of the stomach, is getting a lot more of that. And this is sounding very close to that, because when you have gastroparesis, anything it puts down is going to want to come back up. It doesn't want to just sit there. It just wants to come back up. You guys getting nauseated and everything else, and it wants to come back up. So it sounds to me he's got those beginning stages. Now, we could have some pancreatic effect and influence in there where there's very little digestive enzymes, but I don't know. This sounds more stomach. This really sounds more stomach. So I wouldn't invoke hydrochloric acid. That's when you start consuming proteins. We don't want to invoke any acids right now. We want everybody to settle down. We want the females to come, don't we? That's right. But I'm a sexist, so that really shouldn't be. You know, we want female chemistry, guys. And that is the base chemistry of life. I've said this for years. This is a female planet in chemistry ran by acids. And we have to correct that. If we have to make the acids more balanced. All right. Elle. Hi, Elle. Hope that's your name. Hi, I have been high fruit vegan, sweet potatoes and oven roasted veggies, an exception. Pretty good. Yep. You know, that's a real good program, I think. You know, when you get up so high and you feel like you've got yourself cleaned out, balance out a little bit. There's no laws that says you have to be a total fruitarian. There's no laws that says you have to be a breatharian. The real key is get your awareness, consciousness. How you deal with the bodies is how you deal with the bodies to make them well and to serve you well. But your body is a servant to you. It follows your dictation. So when your body isn't doing well and full of pain, it's just simply follow your dictation. You're the one driving the car. Unfortunately, you're driving a car that came into the world with a fair amount of bumps on it already, scratches, genetic weaknesses. So now you got to go fix your car up. And that's the secrets we're teaching you all how to do it. One can argue this and argue that, but come on. You know, we want to keep ourselves full of fun and happiness and joy. When you get opinionated or focused and you start getting, you're a female and you're upset because someone's using the word human, that's a problem with your own self and a society that's gone nuts. You just realize you're in a society that's controlled by men. How do you fix that? That's what you need to ask yourself. How do you fix that? And by coming after those that are trying to help fix that isn't the way you do that, by the way. I've been trying to fix that consciousness for years, although a lot of priests don't like how I think that way, but that's too bad. There needs to be more females in the priestcraft. You know, look at the priestcraft. Ran by men. And this is also true with a lot of yogas, no offense. You know, the male principle. And in some of the countries, the male principle, you know, the phallic symbol and everything is adorned. What about the female principle? You see, that's the principle where you get to learn love and compassion and romance. That's the beauty of God. That's how God gets to experience itself. But remember, God's simply experiencing itself between the female and the male principles. You would too if you had nothing in the world but yourself, and the only thing that you had is what you created. Wouldn't you play around a little bit? A whole life of dairy and processed food from that I was little. Boy, I was born farm boy. We had milk, 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 milk. I didn't live on the farms. I worked on them. We had a house outside of the farms, but we had the horses at the house. And then we had all the, of course, the farms were, the crops was crop sharing because these are huge farms. But man, God, farm work is tough. You know, I put up so much barbed wire fence in my life. I've scraped my dad had, you know, cut trees, and then I had to scrape all the bark off the posts. Oh my God, I saw that on Alaska, The Last Frontier or something. I said, oh, am I aware of that one? That's a lot of work. Why even scrape the bark off the posts for? For the looks? Man, that's a lot of work. You know, like this, with a blade and two handles, scraping the bark off of hundreds of them. This is an endless amount of work when it comes to farming. Woohoo! I feel better, but I still have many fallbacks. And just now, I think you mean lost my appetite, and will probably go into fasting. Probably a good idea. I mean, this thing is under back pain. I got some back pain after eating fruits before it was always watermelon. Now they are okay though, but now I react the same with mangoes, and it makes me feel sick. What is this? Good question. You know, obviously the pain in the back. Now, I don't know where in the back you have pain, but remember your spine and every vertebrae has nerve and vascular ganglia, pathways that come off and feed your organs and glands. So every level of your spine is actually related to different organs and glands. An example is L4 and L5 is your kidney vertebrae. And how many of you have L4 and L5 lumbar problems? And then from the lumbar down, now you're into the female organs, male organs, bladder, all of that. That's all down toward the coccyx. So when you start having all types of problems in the lower burner here, you're having problems in those related organs and glands. And it's the same as you go up. In your T-spine, you've got your lungs, you've got your upper digestive tract. So everything is so related. You know, not one thing is standing alone. Everything is related. We're all brothers and sisters with males and females. But it gets better. We're non-gendered beings playing the role of females and males. That's even better yet. So that means you're so beautiful, powerful beings, each and every one of you. And you parents, remember that just because your children are in littler bodies, don't mean that's a little soul. You could have one of the most powerful beings. Seen them. You could have brought in some of the most powerful beings out there in these little bodies. So just remember that. We as male and female bodies bring in bodies for these gigantic souls to come in and experience here. Those souls didn't come from us. We just make bodies. Just like making cars, Detroit. And we make bodies for those souls to inhabit for a while. And they say that these souls are put in the bodies that are perfect for their experiences that need on their journey of growth. Remember, you're all on a journey of growth. we've reached a stagnation here in this world, maybe because of the male principle has dominated so much and it's so corrosive that you've got wars, you got this whole ISIS thing and all this stuff going on, and I'm looking at this thinking, holy crap, and there's females involved. And they want to go back to the days where the feminine principle was extremely suppressed. I don't get that. That's power, narcissism of the male principle. And I don't know. Not my world. I'm only here as a way shower. Same with you guys. So when you start eating fruit, though, a different fruit, each fruit has its own state of awareness. Each fruit is its own individual thing. I could tell you stories, but probably not the place to hear them. In our spiritual classes would be the place. And we've had some discussions, some of us, about plant life and the consciousness of different levels of plant life. And this is also true of the fruits and the berries and all the other foods. Every food has a different frequency and a different chemistry makeup to it, and it's uniquely individual and for a unique part of the body. So when you step up to these high power fruits and berries, and especially the fruits and the berries, these are the brain and nerve foods, the endocrine gland foods. These are the babies. And so they light up that which is dark and acidic and that which is hiding. And they bring forth that which is hiding in you. So depending upon the type of fruit, and I wish I knew more about it. There was Hahnemann or something. He wrote a book on, tried to bring out a little bit about the uniqueness of each individual fruit and nut and berry. I thought it was a good start for doing that. I think it was Dr. Hahnemann or something like that. Anyway, it's out there about the individuality of those. It's enough to say I've experienced a lot of that, and it is. Everything is individual in its nature, and so it can affect a different part of your body, but it is going to wake up that which is sleeping, that which you want it to wake up, because you want to start knowing where your problems are. You can look in your eyes and see it, but for some reason a lot of people are not used to doing that yet. Fun stuff. But no matter what you see, what do you do about it? All right, fruits are starting to open up that which is sleeping. Keep opening up that which is sleeping. Because these are problems in these areas. Even when you eat fruit and you start seeing symptoms, the problem is not with the fruit. The problem is with your body. That's if you pick ripe, sweet, good fruit. If you don't, the fruit is a little more acidic, and you still could know. And this is another area you could know. You could be eating over-acidic fruit, and so those areas in your body that's highly acidic will react to that. Acid on top of acid, like chemotherapy, only explodes the problem. So I'm going to look at that one too, because there's that side of it too. So it could be either way. But when you're eating your fruits and your berries, guys, get the most ripe you can. There's no question about that. You want your food sweet and delicious. We just have to get our agricultural thinking up. And that's, we have a whole world to do that. But if you go back 100 years ago on this planet has opened up a lot in its awareness. I've seen the different masters coming from different levels at different times to help open this place up. And it's coming. Woo! Woohoo! So I think, Elle, I think that you just keep digging in there. Get some herbs, get the kidneys opened up, get the adrenals. The thing is, if you guys aren't working with your kidneys and adrenals, this might be some of the problems, because you've got to open up these doorways. And I think the botanicals and the fruits and the berries are the only things that open up these doorways. I haven't seen anything else. Dry fasting, Hildy, good site. Love your site. Good site for learning the process of dry fasting. Absolutely. You want to learn how to do a 24-hour dry fast doesn't hurt anybody. And if it can get your kidneys filtering, I don't have her information because I was sharing it with another person, but Hildy shows a big bunch of sediment in her urine from a dry fast. That's what I'm talking about. It's amazing, but you can watch this even with your foods. Once you get your kidneys filtering, watch the different foods that you're eating and how they affect filtration of your urine. Go back to your cooked vegetables and stuff, you'll stop filtering. Isn't that amazing? Proteins, stop filtering. Well, If you stop filtering your sewage out of your body, major hell to pay. Pain, swelling. So I'd go out and clean myself up, Ellie. Go after my kidneys, go after my adrenals, go after my GI tract. Get a picture of your eyes and take a look at it, because that's your body inside. I know some people probably don't want to look, but when I first got my eyes done years and years ago, I was probably the late 60s or early 70s at a health fair. This guy had an iris camera that he had an engineer building. And there was a long line of people waiting to get an iris done. I think it was $50 or something. So I thought, wow, I love iridology. This is cool. I've never seen anybody with a camera. So I had my eyes took. And when I looked at them, because I already knew how to read them, but I go, oh, no, I didn't know I had such genetics, I don't have those strong genes like some of you guys do. So I asked the guy, I said, you think your engineer friend would build me a camera? He said, sure enough. Cost me $2,000 back in 1970 or 71. Dear Dr. Morse, I love you and your work so much. Thank you, my dear one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have been watching your videos for a while now and have been turning into a lot of something, an utmost trauma that I would like some advice, help with. What is that? I've never heard of that word. What would be supportive for those who are undergoing intense walk-in processing? I am only 21 years old and have been undergoing an intense spiritual activation. Oh, wow. And have been running up against a lot of psychic attacks. Oh, this might be a good letter. You know what? I'm going to read this one. And I'll come back, guys, I promise. I did want to have this kind of a spiritual video, but sometimes I've noticed this on this planet a lot in particular, that the Homo sapien human, male or female, a lot of them have their heads buried under the sand. It's just so hard here. And it reduces your awareness so much that you literally forget who you really are, don't you? You're looking at yourself as a female or a male. You're looking at your body to judge who you are. You can't do that. See, that's where meditation and out-of-body travels came in, because the spiritual beings that started realizing that we're more than the human experience, human being, male and female experience, a Homo sapien experience. We're so much more than that. Well, how do you find what that is out? How do you find who you really are out? Well, you can start eliminating, just like you eliminate foods and stuff. Well, the physical body isn't it. It dies, and, obviously we go out. Having an out-of-body experience is probably going to be your most important awakening to that, because you are literally separate from your body and you see that. And it's like a shock at first, like, wow, oh, cool. And then you're back. But when you get used to that, then it's just a natural thing. Remember, Paul Twitchell used to play with his sister at age 3 out of the body more than they played in the body. Can you imagine? Planetary tripping and everything else playing out of the body. There's so many cool levels of this, and we're just so closed off here in the physical world. But we also have opened ourselves unconsciously to a lot of, I'll call them entities, because each one of us is an entity. Each one of us is an individual aspect of God. There's no entity that's different than that. Some are more awake, some are a lot more awake. Some are not really awake at all and are trapped in some levels and playing a little with the Homo sapien consciousness here. So you do have beings that die too quick, that get trauma and stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen an airplane crash or a big car crash or something, but if you look around, you'll see some spiritual beings there. And there's a reason for that. Because there's a lot of souls that are shocked out of their body. And sometimes they get shocked and they're in limbo. So there's a lot of spirit. Gopal Das was a good one. Gopal Das looks like Jesus Christ. Big, long, beautiful, flowing hair. beautiful, I think he's Greek or something, just named Gopal Das. Beautiful, beautiful being. But he was very much involved, I think, in helping people in trauma and stuff like this, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Katadaki, a lot of the females, really powerful beings, boy, they really help at so many levels as well like this. But if you're bothered by another entity, I remember I moved in this apartment, or this was an old house, but it was an apartment house right on the water, and man, was it loaded with beings. I mean, the hair on my head was always sticking up until I got used to communicating and used to dealing with that situation. Now I tell people, just remember, when you don't want somebody in your life, what do? You tell them to get out of your life. And that's what you got to do. Psychically, you become more powerful. And you become more powerful when you're not using your mind. When you step back and you're becoming more conscious, there's protective devices sewn in you that you might not be aware of, and you will see this. I remember one time I was eating with someone, and this image of this entity bothering a friend of mine came in, and this light came right out of my Tishra till and went right to that entity. And later I talked with this individual. She said, I couldn't believe what I saw. This thing just dissipated. So all I can tell you is that we're all more powerful than we know. And you just keep working on your divinity and your beauty and your joy. And the silence is where you find a lot of that. The chatter of the mind and desire is where you get lost. Kick back and rest and observe for a while that which is active. Doesn't mean you don't have to be active. But remember the old Zen, there's doing without doing, all of those type of things. That's what that means. You can move your bodies and have all kinds of fun if you want. But don't get lost in the experience. If anyone taught us that, it was that movie Michael with John Travolta. Remember that? He fought the bull or made love to the judge. Doesn't matter. He was out having fun in creation. There was no judgment. There was no opinions. It was just living life and enjoying it at the fullest in the moment. And that's what we have to get to. Playing in the moment. Jesus said that over and over and over and over again, didn't he? So, in any type of psychic attack, remember who's the boss. No matter how strong you think that being is, you're the boss. And you don't allow it. It's part about opening yourself up in meditation or contemplation. I really kind of talk against that sort of thing. It's hard because there's a lot of spiritual techniques and things, but you want to be the whole within the self. You know, consciousness-wise, nobody can hurt you and nobody can touch you. This is all within the worlds of matter, energy, time, and space. Creation, where you have opposites, and the game of harassments. It can be in someone harassing you. For those that are living in houses of torment, become strong. That's the whole idea. Don't run. Become powerful. Get into the higher self where you are more powerful. Because this world is going to be a little crazy here coming. And we've opened our doors to all kinds of beings. You have channelers that are channeling these beings all over the place. Do talk against channeling. You're opening the door for these beings to come into this world. Why are you doing that? For some ego sense? That everybody find their own answers out through their own consciousness. You know, you don't have to set yourself up as the being of knowing everything. But be careful channeling, because you just don't know who's hitchhiking. And so that's what I'm saying. I've had hitchhikers on me that I didn't know until I become so quiet I could perceive them, the subtleness of this. That's why the quietness. When you start to get the quietness, you'll start to hear the music of God. You'll start to feel the energies of things around you. You become your own powerful energy. If you have to, put the golden light around you. Protect yourself. Use the light of God. Call God whatever name you use for that, because that's your image that you're pulling to you. Or your spiritual being. Or you are your own master. And you don't want to be messed with? You step back. Be strong, my dear ones, because that is what will win the day coming. Those that are meek and weak, you shall inherit the earth and all that that implies. So, this is why get the bodies healthy, and at the same time realize that you only use these bodies to experience it and learn your own divinity. Some of you young people still might remember where you came from. Don't forget that. Don't lose that. Some of you younger folks, 5 years old and younger, and maybe even a little older, still might remember a lot more than you're telling people. It's okay. Don't lose that memory. The mind, and everybody trying to get you to do academics and everything, can make you lose that. So it's okay. You must learn your academics, but also keep these awarenesses within you. All right. Including microwave weapons attacking me as well as government harassment. I don't have fear about this. It's just annoying and debilitating. I know the government harassment. A lot of people don't know what you're talking about here. I know that. It's difficult if you're an antenna. So you might have to cease to be an antenna. You know, some people out there, some people, I hate to use the word people, humans or whatever, Homo sapiens, have gotten themselves too sensitive psychically. You've opened yourselves up too much psychically. Not good. Get yourself pulled back. Ground yourself. Lose that mind. Don't try to channel. Don't try to, ground yourself for a while, but pull back for a while and be the self. Be yourself. Don't bring others toward you. Be the one. Because if you have an opening, things can wiggle in. It's hard to explain how to do that because the government is using a lot of subliminal, and governments are doing it against each other now. This is a war on all levels. This war you're seeing here physically, that's just the effect. The real war started in the mental worlds. Now you got the war in the emotional worlds. All these different worlds that come down to get to this one, the war is there first. This is the last of the Mohegans. This is the last planet or dimension you take a body on. So the war is at so many levels. You can feel it in your mind. You can feel it in your emotions. And particularly at this day and time on this planet, you can feel the discordant energies everywhere. You must not fall into that. That's why I'm giving you the secrets of God consciousness, how to let go and just be in the moment. You are not involved in that. They can't touch that because there's no mind. You're not separate from yourself. You are the self. And there's no place for them to go or hide because you're all that there is. So I know it sounds maybe confusing, but it's not easy to teach people how to protect yourselves. Government harassment, I don't know. That's going to take a big change coming. I tell you, people are so mad. Things are changed. Things are good. But we need that. You got to realize we're going through the period of time where everything is being torn apart. And you ladies that are fighting for the female principle, it's okay to fight for that. Don't get perverted with it. But it's okay to fight for the feminine principle. Matter of fact, I highly recommend the females to become women warriors. Like Katadaki. Strong, powerful, yet full of love of God. And these are big beings. And all of you females have that potential as well as males. But you're becoming more of who you are, which is non-gendered. You're only in that body for the experiences it is there to give you. And if you're in a feminine body, accept the beauty of that. Because I know a lot of males would like to be females. Female principle is a loving principle, but there's a lot of crap you ladies have taken. And look at what the pharmaceutical world has done to the feminine side. I mean, it's horrible. The estrogens and the hormone replacements and bioidentical steroids messing you ladies up bad. Ugh. So I am for the female to take its rightful place, but when you take your rightful place, realize who you really are. Use your female body to get things done on this planet for the female to be recognized. a lot more, because this acid side is decaying. This male side is decaying more and more and more, and it'll come back on itself. Because there's no love, there's no joy, there's nothing to come out of it. So it'll come up on itself and chew itself up, just like acids are doing in your body. So this is a big deal what's going on right now on this planet. Don't get trapped with words. Be conscious. I am aware of the government trying to kill me ever since I ran up against my memories of being kidnapped as a kid and trained by the aliens, and it's been very hard on my body, often feeling like I'm not going to make it, though. Okay. I can't speak to that. I can speak that I think the government right now is there's so many people awakening that the government's having a hard time just focusing on a couple of people. However, there is a lot, and I know for some of you this is going to sound wild, but there are a lot of beings like yourself that are not from this level, and there are from this level but not this planet. I mean, it's all over the place, guys. It's all over the place. There's federations, there's all kinds of things going on that a lot of the humans on this planet have not awakened up to yet. Matter of fact, a lot of the Homo sapiens fear that so much that they run and hide. You won't be doing it long, because more and more and more they're making themselves known. I mean, when Deepak Chopra goes up to these sites where they land and everything, you got to ask yourself, what's going on? I don't know what to say other than you must become conscious and more powerful as soul, because these aliens are just more powerful in mind. You must become more powerful in soul to override their power of your mind. You know, some of these beings can totally make you unconscious and take your body and do things with it. They can't do to you soul that way. So you must become powerful. There's a reason why we're all out here trying to develop everybody's conscious awareness. And it isn't just for this planet. There's a lot going on. I had a friend, and she was an echist, but she was visiting a friend way up, and I think she was up in Maine or somewhere. And her friend lived way up in the mountains. So she was driving up to her friend's house, another female, and she saw this beautiful bright light come down into this field or something. She's going, what? Thought maybe it was a meteor or something. So she went up and visited her friend. Now this is a dark, winding road up into the mountains. On her way back, she saw two men dressed with suits walking down this road in the darkness. So all I can tell you is there's a lot going on here, and you don't want to play the ignorant game about it. You want to take your rightful position in the God worlds, in awareness. Know that there's a lot going on, and there's a lot to creation. Remember now the Big Bang Theory's out, and it's simply there's no beginning or end. And the reason there's no beginning or end, because it's just massive. And you're in the body of God. There is no beginning or end to that. It's infinite and formless. You can't judge the infinite and the formless by the finite and the formed. That's its gig. That's its play. And you just get more powerful with that. You know, the government's been on my butt for years too. Not so much the government, but the IRS, which is not really the government. It's just a private collection agency for the World Bank. They don't like truth, so when people bring out truth, they like to try to suppress it. The problem is, you can't suppress truth anymore, guys. And the more you try, the worse it's going to come out. And so, time's up for the crooks. But this is just part of God correcting itself and moving itself through its creations, adapting and changing its looks and its design as it goes. Look at how the human's design has changed through the 100 years. Talking about the female principle, don't tell me the Creator doesn't have an eye for the female. But that's part of itself. Its feminine principle is part of itself. And of course, so is the male principle. It has its eye on both. Look at how the bodies have changed in both genders. And particularly the feminine principle in the earlier 1900s with the large butts. Now they're smaller and more round. Of course, Cardassians are trying to go back to the past. Nature does all these things, changes and adapts. Remember, they did these studies on infants that recognized beauty. They took females of different. I hate to say that because again, we're playing with the world of the mind and everything, but different levels of what man considers beautiful, I suppose. But these children recognize the beauty in the ladies right off. So it just shows you that there's an awareness behind everything, including yourself, that recognizes gender and the different shapes and sizes of genders, but also of everything. There's genders in plants. There's genders everywhere, guys. Has to be genders. Some species procreate within itself, though. That's for sure. Let me see here. A strange letter for some of you, I know. Also, do you have any advice for people who are aware they have been abducted by aliens and the government and have physical implants in their body that are designed to track and mess with the person? I'm serious. I know you're serious. Matter of fact, Jesse Ventura did several shows about that. And I don't know. I've always thought about that. Wow. How can you detect if you have a device in you and get it out? I don't know how you do those things. Freaky stuff to me. And me too. I tell you this stuff. I need a surgeon who won't think I'm nutcase. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. You only have to find a spiritual person to do that. A spiritual surgeon. There's some out there, I guess. I don't know what to say about that. That's this is a tough one. And it's something that a lot of us look at and think of. But I don't know. In terms of that side of it, in terms of you as soul, remember the game is in the bodies. So become more awake as soul and more powerful in your own beingness. Because the mind, most Homo sapiens' mind is so controllable, it's not even funny. And I don't mean that as a negative hit on anybody. But we are not matured at the human level or the Homo sapien level, in the mental level. That's why these beings can come and totally make you unconscious. Not if you're working from soul, they can't. No one can hypnotize you or nothing else. You're too powerful, you're too awake. And that's what my advice is to these things. If you feel you have an implant, I don't know, seek someone to try to find it and get it out. I don't know much about those sort of things, but it is awful scary to me too. Please don't talk to me as if being crazy. I don't. Feel my heart and soul and know that I'm on your team on the higher levels. Yeah, I don't know how to deal with this sort of thing. I personally feel that these are the type of things, of discussions that we need to have more of, and that those that see this as a joke needs to wake up a little more before they get involved in things. There are all kinds of walk-ins here. There's all kinds of things going on this planet right now. It's a mess. This is becoming a Star Wars bars like crazy. So I know a lot of you don't want to hear stuff like that, but there are things going on that you can't hide from anymore. And this is part of the problem. We've been hiding as Homo sapiens. And we need to waken up and realize who we really are in the human, meaning male and female, experiences. I'm on the front lines. Ooh, man, then you got to be more conscious. Keep surrendering to consciousness. Keep being consciousness. Don't allow the mind to trip and become more powerful. It's so much powerful because that's your power, is the spirit, the prana itself. And when you become it itself, there's nothing more powerful. No one can do anything about that. And then all the essence will come with you and help you fight this fight. Because, there's a lot going on. There's so much going on. I feel sorry for so many because there's a lot going on. A lot of people are being attacked. But you must become strong yourself. You must become the warrior yourself. And you have the sword of God. And it's a sword of light and truth. And beings don't like the sword of truth and light. But you are one. And the only way you can do is become the light and the power itself when you fight these. You take up the sword of God. Like I said, a lot of beings are not here as Gandhis. I'm not here as a Gandhi in this lifetime. I like Gandhi. And I wish I could spend some time as Gandhi. I'm tired. But we're not done. So some of us are not Gandhis. You have to accept that fact. That sometimes we have to wield the sword of truth and change. And that's what's happening. So forgive me for this video, but you ask the questions. I am so sick of dealing with the harassment. Then take your attention away from it. Take your attention away from it and build your power, your strength as consciousness, not the mental power, because there's always someone stronger in the mind. Become the self, the true self, and that is only in awareness. So no thought. Don't allow them in your thoughts. Don't allow them in your vision, your tisratil. No. It's the only way. Starting to impact me physically, and I know you're the best person to ask this too. I don't know about that, but all I can tell you is that strength is awareness and consciousness. Weakness is the mind. Now, the universal mind is a powerful thing, but nothing. It is just a product of consciousness again. Consciousness or awareness, you can use the term soul, you can use these things, but soul gives you the connotation of something. And it's yet just an individualized piece of the whole. And so the mind needs to put that in some type of form or category to understand it. And you can't understand the awe, the infinite, from the finite. You can't understand that which is all things by a very limited finite instrument of the mind. But those that have developed the mind have always used you guys. Don't you know that? You've always been used by those that have stronger minds. You're doing that now. That's what governments, that's what they take their pride. Matter of fact, look at this. You can have one Hitler type of person, excuse me, one dominant soul that can will the power and control millions of souls. Amazing. And yet anyone can take them out. Yet they don't. That's amazing when you look at that. How you can have one dominant figure, like the guy that runs Syria type of thing. How you can have one dominant person like this that's just evil dominate. And it's all about power. Perceived power. Well, you start working your own power up. Because people only have power when you let them. Now, sometimes what this individual's talking about, you can be grabbed. I've been yanked out of my body, literally out of my body, and taken into these higher worlds, and I felt I had no control. So all I know is that you're just becoming more stronger and stronger, more no, yes, you are the one that dictates the actions. Closed house, you don't let anybody in the psychic worlds of your beingness. And that's the problem. In our mental, we just open everything up. Come on in, have a seat. And those psychics out there are doing a bad job of opening it up too. You don't need to open it up. You don't have to be a channel for another being. You're your own being. You know, those that do are only a lack of the awareness in their own spirituality. You don't have to channel another being. You can talk to them out of the bodies and learn, and then you talk to people here in the physical world. You don't have to channel them through you. That's dangerous and narcissistic and everything else, my opinion. Be your own God man or woman. I would be open to paying for consultation. You have the time, even 10 minutes. You don't have to pay for that. I will get a hold of you and talk to you. And if you have a master, I'd recommend you call on the ECK masters myself too. Get used to who Gopal Das is. For me, Phoebe Quant's a very powerful being. You got Shamus de Breeze. That's Rumi's master. You could even call Rumi, but I'd call Shamus de Breeze. Gopal Das, Rebazar Tars, another very powerful being, still has a physical body, maintaining one. Very powerful being. Intimidates me sometimes. So you do have quite a repertoire of beings of the Ekmaster variety, and then you have a lot of other spiritual beings. I'm going to bring you all a bunch of pictures of a bunch of them. We've got artists that have brought back pictures of them for you, and I'll bring some to show you so you have an idea. Fun stuff. So don't let any of this, that our discussion today, get to you, though, because it's a discussion that's coming, that's essential, that man, as male and female, have. And that is the protection of yourself in a universe and galaxy so large as this one, where now we're bringing in a lot of people coming here. So it's just a big thing, but from some of you, don't worry about it. Just don't let people come in and sit in you and use you. Don't let people use and control you. Get your joy back, your power back, your love back, especially you females. You know, the male principle is an aggressive acid principle. You become the woman warrior, and I've been talking about this for a long time. So for some of you that don't think that, you're just not listening, and you want to start trouble, and it's like, there's no trouble. Each of us must become ungendered and take our rightful place as powerful beings of spirituality, a soul, as God, expressions of God. It is the most satisfying, beautiful level to be you could be. And it pulls you out of these bowels of duality where you have both forces to deal with. Because people don't bitch when they're in the positive forces. They only bitch when they're in the negative forces. Yet the negative forces is simply the opposite side of the positive forces. You don't want to be involved in either one of those forces. You want to be consciousness, where you're neither gendered. You are a whole being within yourself. And you teach love and beauty and awake consciousness. Anyway, I love you all so much. We've had a lot of fun. A lot of you are finding your spirituality. Some of these poems you're sending me, I can tell that you've awakened. And you just keep surrendering. You just keep letting go and being. And you'll go just so far while you have this body, but it's a powerful far. And you just keep letting yourself go and go. It doesn't matter anymore, especially if you want to move on for a higher journey. Don't keep making this journey so important. This is not an important level. So you can fight in all these things to change the consciousness. That's okay. But just remember your own divinity in all of this. And you young people, don't forget where you came from in the Godhead. Especially those of you that still remember. Don't lose that. So, till we do another video, thank you so much. And appreciate all your input here. There's so much of great questions I want to go over and read. I wish I could just sit here and just keep on doing it for you and get caught up here, because I know a lot of you are suffering. Ooh, look at this one I just found. Look at that. Wow. So we'll have to talk about this next video, but it looks like some gnarly looking stuff. Is this you, Max? Yeah, remember, there's some black stuff that needs to come out of most everybody, and that's that gnarly stuff. You can have black impacted matter on the walls. I'll do this real quick. Somebody asked me to see Dr. Jensen's before and after pictures of endoscopy and colonoscopy. So let me give you some befores and afters here. Let's do this. This one is Riverside Community Hospital. This is the colon, and let me show you before. What year was this one? Let me see here. Wow, this X-ray is old. This is 08, maybe. No, the new ones are 2000, January 2000. I forget what year I worked on Doc. It was 97, 98, 99. I knew I worked with Doc in his detox in those years. It's hard for me to get the reading what date. 99. So this is what he accomplished in just a few months. This is befores. See all that black plaque? See all that black? And this is after. See the pink tissue? A lot of times these herbs and fruits and everything will bind all this up, especially when you use the clays. And it makes it come out long pieces of black stuff, like mucoid plaque. Take a look at this one. This is the part of the esophagus and the small bowel, stomach area. Take a look at this before and after. Just to show you the name, there's the Jensen, Dr. Jensen's name. All right, so there's the before. Look at these black hairs. I don't have Drew to help kind of shine in on here, guys. But see that black up in here, in the tissues here, the small bowel and stomach? Look at how clean. Look at how clean herbs and diet does this. But look how dark. And this was this is the guy that wrote the book of colon. But I'm not down on Doc, because I'm going to tell you, most of the healers work on everybody but themselves. I find myself do that all the time too. I don't know what to say about it. Our whole world is so intensely involved in that. Sometimes just getting away from it is our super. I don't know how to describe that. Oh, here's another good one. More part of the colon. Take a look. Holy moly. That's one big UPS truck right there. Holy moly. Holy crap. We got some things coming. We'll never get out of here. Take a look at this. Look at all that black stuff. All right? Now look at how clean. Look at how clean and pretty that is. Yep. This is Volume 2 Bowel Management, Dr. Jensen's Bowel Before and After Treatment. But anyway, it shows you, you know, the difference, what different foods can impact you. When I met Doc, he still was eating some meat. He liked veal and duck. I remember when we were in Portugal one time, and there was no restaurants to eat, no place I could get vegetables or fruits. They had Lisbon. They had some fruit stands, you know, on the street, but where do we all eat? So we had people that would make us foods and stuff, but we like to go out. So I said, well, let's go Chinese. At least we can get vegetable lo mein and chow mein, stuff like that, you know. So we did. Here's Doc ordering Peking duck and everything. I said, what? So just goes to show you that all of us are not perfect on one side, but we're all perfect on the other side. So with great love to all of you guys, take care of yourselves.